Hello, world. This is America's Supermom, and this is a special edition that I call the Corona Chronicles. During this time, we are suffering from a pandemic that is affecting everyone across the world. We are joined with the rules and regulations of being shelter in place, which means we are limited with the ability to go about our daily business, confined to our homes based on a coronavirus that has been sweeping the entire world. For some people, the effects could be mild. For others, it can be fatal. So we are coming together as a community, as a family during this time of difficulty to share what it is like in our part of the world, how we are affected, and the things that we have in common, what kind of problems that are taking place in our industries and in our relationships and finances, and coming together so that we can plan for a better tomorrow. As this epidemic or pandemic crosses the world, we are waiting for relief. We're waiting for the virus to die off and for us to go back to some state of normalcy, whatever that may be, after things kind of settle down. So what is that going to look like once the dust settles? How are things going to be different? So as we go through this process, we're coming together as a world to create ideas, strategies, connect in ways that we have never connected before. So that is the purpose of the special podcast that I call the Corona Chronicles, so that we can get some insight and have empathy and compassion on one another, create new innovative ideas that can not only improve our life, but our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about my next guest, Loren Michaels Harris. We met over Facebook. He reached out to me for me to be one of his guests, I think, on Bathrobe Moments. Or we met through somebody else that it ended up where I ended up on his show. So really and love his insight. He keeps me laughing, never a dull moment with his humor. But in all seriousness, I love the fact that he uses his platform to educate and to inspire and just to keep people abreast of what's really happening. I love how he gets to the heart of the matter, asks the questions that the people in the room are wondering, but they're afraid to ask. So I just love that aspect of him. And I'm really excited to have him here today to kind of share his insights as we kind of muddle through this pandemic that we're faced with right now. So at this time, I'm going to give him the floor for him to kind of introduce himself before we get into the interview.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you, Lachelle?
I'm good.
America's Supermom. I want to know how you, where are you? Like inside the deep freezer or in the trunk of your car? Because I know I should hear one of those 36 kids you have.
You're right. You're right. I'm just in my office, okay?
Wow.
They leave me alone so they don't have to have me going over them and saying, "Did you get your work done?" You know what I mean? So they try to stay out of my way. Yeah.
So okay, well you know a lot because I think you probably know about extension cords. Remember those?
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah, but
seriously, I'm amazed at how you pull it all off. I really am. That's what attracted me to you in the first place, America's Supermom. But thank you for having me here. Hi, everybody. My name is Loren Michaels Harris, as Lachelle said. And I am an inspirational speaker. I am a coach. I help people with their content development, which means, everything from the written, if they're working on a book, or, all the stuff that we put out there, their social media presence, but most importantly, the content that they share with people from the stages. So keynote development and that sort of thing. And then I am the host, as you mentioned, and thank you for that shout out to Bathrobe Moments, which is in its 4th season. It airs every day, Monday through Friday. And this year we're with E360 Television, which means through the magic of live streaming, we now reach a minimum every day of around 250,000 screens. So it's pretty exciting. And Bathrobe Moments was nominated by Loren magazine in January as listed as one of the top 4 live stream shows to watch in 2020. So God is good all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to be on a new episode.
You really do. You do. So actually, if you get with me today, we can get you set up.
All right.
Sure thing.
All
sure
right.
thing.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just great. You have come from your story. You just kind of went over it really quickly, but I mean, you've got quite a impressive story of just rising up, empowering yourself, and just I can't even put all of it into words. From the Gold Cast video. So just we just not going to be able to dive into everything, but just tell somebody right now, because a lot of people feel like they're at ground zero. Some people have lost their jobs, they're separated from family. People in their family that are close to them have died. They couldn't mourn them through a normal funeral. So for a lot of people, they are at their lowest point. What advice would you give them, in your story, how you were able to rise up and just thrive like you are today?
Well, and thank you. That's a great, great question, and a topic that I embrace completely. I say this to people, and it's interesting. A lot of people have asked me recently, and even on my own show, I'll get it in the chat box and stuff, where people say, even my own spouse, my husband said to me way back at the front end of the quarantine, "You don't seem like this is really getting to you, or you don't seem scared or anything like that." And I said, well, actually, I'm not, because I know that there are no mistakes in the universe, that everything that we experience is either a blessing, well, actually both, a blessing, because they're synonymous, blessing and an opportunity, all at the same time. You use your faith. Your faith is the threshold that you step over to get inside of that opportunity, inside of that blessing. Because if you can't see a blessing, you can never be a blessing. If you can't see an opportunity, you can never seize an opportunity. So what that means is we have to step inside of the now. It's not about tomorrow projecting. It's not about yesterday reminiscing. It's about the now. And when you wake up every day and you say, well, God, you woke me up, the sun rises to let us know that there's still work to do. And when the day comes for each of us, when the sun doesn't rise, that means our work is over. So when you open your eyes, that's the first sign that you're supposed to still be here, that there's still stuff to do, work to be done, people to change, and ways for us each to grow. So I say this, will we ever go back to life as we knew it? Most likely not. But these situations, these opportunities / blessings, they remind me of all the things in my years. My GoCast video is about Lost or Found, where I tell the story of my having had 22 mothers as a result of a birth mother, an adoptive mother, and 20 in between the two. When I was in the foster system, when my adoptive mother passed away suddenly when I was just 9 years old. So my world changed. I lived inside of a pandemic every day, keeping it real. I mean, I'd come home from school and my stuff would be packed, and that means, and I still get stuff at school, in my desk, in my locker, friends that I had made that I can't say goodbye to. I can't even imagine how many people wonder, how come he never came back to school, But I learned then to take every situation and look at it as a case study. Okay, I'm purposely being placed inside this opportunity for a reason. And when you step over that threshold of faith, you find yourself inside of whatever it is in the now. But then you have to do the hard thing, the courageous thing, and that is to look at it. Look at that opportunity. Look at that blessing from top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, corner to corner. and corner to corner, because you can't glance out of the corner of your eye. You can't overhear purpose. It has to be all. It is 100. It is complete. It is omnipotent. It is the beginning and the end, the first and the last, because it's anchored to the truth, which is that entity which is greater than all of us. And the truth is the only thing in this universe that will never change, and it will never change on you. So you have to dive completely into it, step completely into it in order to understand it completely. And so this too shall pass. It doesn't mean you forget. It means that it passes to make room for the next opportunity, the next blessing. And when you've gone in and you look like today and what we're doing and what we're all dealing with, I think it is the universe's a great way to remind us of our interconnectivity, that, we're all cousins, no matter where we live, how much money we have, what color our skin is, or what part of this world we live in. Because every one of us knows about a face mask right now. Every one of us was looking for hand sanitizer, Lysol, and toilet paper. And so it took what it needed to do in order to bring us together, because life is truly a stone soup experience. Just like that story that we learned when we were kids. A stone soup experience means that, everything that happens, that it involves us all. Lachelle, you're commissioned to bring your carrot to the pot. Loren, I'm commissioned to bring my onion to the pot. We all now have something to bring to this pot, this cauldron, if you will, known as mankind. Throw it in there. Mix it in together. And then that way we're all going to feast. We're all going to eat. We're all going to be fed from the same pot. And that's how I look at it. We are here now to share with each other those things we know to be true. Show each other how to step every day into that day from a place, a sponsoring thought of love and not a sponsoring thought of fear. And that's been the real test for a lot of us during this. It's been scary. I was saying today on my show with my guest, Dylan Ali, that, this is a nice time for people to get to learn, Michelle, how to spend time alone. A lot of people don't know how to do that. They're uncomfortable with it. They got to be going. They always got to have somebody around. You remember in high school, there was always that person, that guy or that gal who, the minute they broke up with someone, they had a new boyfriend or girlfriend the next day. People that can't be alone. They just can't be alone. And I used to kind of be that way until, the Spirit spoke to me and said, every day in your car, no music, no Sirius XM, no CDs, no anything. Just spend some time with yourself. And and that was one of the greatest, how do I even put it? It was like I was reintroduced to myself every Wednesday when I would go in there, because I talk to myself, and what is greater than me can now talk to me. It always does. But, you got to be in a listening mode, not just a hearing mode, a listening mode.
So true.
See?
So true. I love that. And now let me ask you this, because, we talk about how, you had these times when, it was like a pandemic for you every day. How did you manage to learn to trust or to relax, because so many people now, it's going to be like, we had this pandemic, no warning, everything upside down. How did they get back to this sense of just, I don't know, just having a foundation?
It makes perfect sense. The first thing I'm going to address is when you said get back to. First of all, what we're about to talk about here never left. It's been with us before we drew our first breath, before we formed our first thought. It was with us. It will be with us when we transition to what is next. And what I mean by that, it's the original voice, the truth. I refer to it as the I-N, the letter I and the letter N, all of the I-N words. Instinct, intuition, internal, inside, insight. Where all of those point to one direction, inward. because that's the one place
Right.
no one has power over, no one has access to unless you give them permission. And that's also where we go and we find, I have a phone booth inside of me that has a phone hanging in it that is connected directly to the creator. It's my version of a bat phone. And when it rings, I answer. When I accidentally bump it off the hook and I hear the busy signal, I pick it up and put the connection back, because our first mind comes through that phone. And our first mind is connected to the creator. And when you follow that, no matter how crazy or ludicrous it may appear, you're listening to what is greater than you. When you talk yourself or rationalize yourself outside of that first, then you're no longer inside of the realm of the first or protected by it. You're now in what's known as everything is second after that. I don't care if there's 1,000 of them. It's still second. And that's why it's called second guessing. You might as well be Helen Keller trying to feel your way, instead of following that first mind. How many times in my past, when I was in my addiction and getting into legal problems, how many times I found myself in the back seat of a police car or in a jail cell and I would say, you know what? Something told me, oh man, if I'd have listened to my first mind, I knew I shouldn't have went over there. I sure did. I knew it. I was told. I was given heads up. I was given a chance to be protected, but I didn't want to listen, you see. So I say all of that to get to this point here. It's not a matter, it never leaves us. Purpose, truth, all of that comes from the creator. It never leaves us. We lay it down and walk away from it. All you have to do is, but gifts of the spirit leave breadcrumbs. Our experiences leave clues around our world that lead us back to the original starting point. That is why we have the only time travel known to us as human beings is in one direction, and it's called remembering. You see, and that doesn't mean that, oh yeah, I remember you had on that yellow dress. Yes, that's a form of remembering. But what I mean is if you take like a magic marker, if the cap gets separated from it, the magic marker is going to dry out and you're not going to be able to use it. But when you remember that cap to the pen and click it into place, you're putting it back in its original state. And that's what we do when we go back and we find our spot with what is greater than us. We are remembering ourselves. And you can always count on the truth to be waiting right there in the same form it was when it came to you. It hasn't grown older. It hasn't changed its outfit. It didn't gain weight. It didn't rust. It is exactly the way it was when it entered your world. And that is so that you will know it when you get remembered to it. It's those lies and deceits and things. They change like the wind. And so when you see something, you go, do I know you? That's one thing I'm going to tell you, Lachelle. People are always afraid, like this thing right now. A lot of people are worried because there's so many question marks. I don't know but when we going back to work, or when they're going to open up our community, or when are they going to have a vaccine, or how many, oh Lord, am I going to get it for, can you catch, every day we're dealt a new hand of question marks. But you know why question marks don't scare me? Because I learned a long time ago, anything that is worthwhile for me that comes from what is greater than me, it has a question mark in it. That's how I know I need him. Because if I can answer it from A to Z, if I know it from rooter to tutor, it means that I don't need God, because I already got all the answers. So I live for the question marks because it's proof that God is in it. If I don't have a question mark, I know God ain't in it. So I see question marks, I know God's in this.
Good.
You see?
This is good. I love that. So, yeah. So, you also mentioned too that, you have your spouse. Everybody's wondering how you're able to forge on, not really have fear. Now, that's a place of not a lot of people are in that space. So what do you do to kind of keep you that way? So, if you have a lot of people around you that, and I'm not going to say negative, they are just, and not even sometimes consumed. You might not be watching the news and not getting into a lot of negative stuff, but you still don't have that inner confidence. So, what is it that you do that keeps you, just one step above, and when it comes to that confidence and
I
clarity?
do.
You
I
do
do.
you
I
understand the question?
absolutely do. Two
Okay.
things, because everything in this world
Mhm.
is based on duality: up, down, hot, cold, right, wrong,
Mhm.
now, then,
Mhm.
past, future. Um, and so
Mhm.
I use
Mhm.
limit and control. I limit what comes in, which allows
Mm.
me to stay grounded enough to control what I put out. So it creates a
Mm.
balance spiritually, physically, mentally, all of it. We in our household,
Mhm.
we watch the first 20 minutes of the 10 o'clock news because now you have the whole day in there, a
Mhm.
summation of the whole day. Yeah. And there's a reason they
Right.
lead with top stories. So and we rotate.
Right.
Brian watches the news one night, I watch it the next.
Mhm.
And then we debrief each other the next day
Mhm.
over breakfast on the highlights, the points,
Mm.
because I can't
Mhm.
dedicate. It's just like, when you've gotten up, and you get up in the morning. Back in the day, I used to get up and people had that head straight for their social media. Now they get, next thing you know, they're late for
Mhm.
work, or they got to skip breakfast, or they forget their lunch because they
Right.
got so caught up, scrolling and thumbing through the threads on their
Mhm.
social media. Well, it's the same thing with
Mhm.
fear-based anything. It's like a disease. It's like a herd of loose, wild
Mhm.
animals. They're not just gonna come gingerly
Mhm.
grazing through your meadow. They're gonna come ripping and running through there because that's what fear does. It moves faster
Mhm.
than love. It's true.
Mhm.
Have you ever, if you put a person
Mhm.
on a side of
Mhm.
a highway giving away roses, and then across the street on the same highway, you pull somebody over with a flat tire and let them raise their hood or whatever, you're going to have a traffic jam on the side where the car is pulled over. Because have you never been in a traffic jam
Right.
and you get up there, you just know 8 cars are in it. You get up there and it's somebody with a flat tire because everybody had to slow down and
Right.
look. What happened? Anybody dead? What's going on? Just like fires, when houses on fires, why do you think everybody got to gather across the street and watch it burn, baby, burn? Because people
Yeah.
like to look at tragedy because
Mhm.
for a moment they go, "Ooh, glad that ain't me." You see anybody dead in there?
Right.
They don't say that
Right.
everybody get out. You think anybody's
Mhm.
still in there? It's all how you ask, what you're
Mhm.
seeking. So anyway, we limit what
Mhm.
comes in so that we can control what goes out. Because here's the deal: there are only two sponsoring thoughts in this universe.
Mhm.
You either going to start with the thought of love, and if you do, that's just the thought is the seed.
Mhm.
The thought turns into your words, which now
Mm.
are the plants, and your words turn into actions,
Mhm.
which are the fruit. So if you plant a thought of fear, you have a seed of
Mm.
fear. If you have words of fear, you have a plant of fear that's going to bear fruit of fear. Same thing, reverse it for love. You see? And so we
Mm.
try to start our
Mhm.
day
Mhm.
with sponsoring thoughts. Just like my show is sponsored by symposium.us for this month. So that's the first
Mhm.
thing out of the top because I'm acknowledging what's allowing it to be. So, sponsoring thoughts are the first things
Mm.
before your feet hit the floor in the morning. When your eyes open, and the sponsoring thoughts are also
Mhm.
have a foothold in your last thoughts because, that's why a lot of people, I believe in prayer. They start praying before their feet hit in their mind, and they pray even if they get on their knees, when they get in
Mhm.
bed, they still keep praying because it's a bridge between
Mhm.
subconscious and conscious. And so I'm a real fan. I'm a real cheerleader to the limit and control mindset.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's key. I'm telling you, that is definitely key. Now, so you mentioned also that faith is the threshold you step over
Mm-hmm.
when you have these opportunities. So, explain that because you have a lot of people who are now their worth and value is in a place of criticalness because they are being stripped from the things that they have had or known or even relationships and things like that.
Sure.
So, explain this concept about the fear being the threshold,
Okay,
because for some
easy,
people that's
easy,
foreign
easy.
language.
Faith.
Okay.
I remember how I got this. I was in a jail cell once, and an old man, a couple cells down, heard me praying out loud. And the next day he said, "Come here, young blood." And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he goes, "I heard you praying last night for faith." He goes, "Don't you realize that's the only thing you cannot pray for?" And I was like, "Huh?" He goes, "No. If you have to pray for faith, it means if God gives you faith, it means you don't have it." Right. So you have to pray for him to help you find your faith, develop your faith. Right. And so the whole thing about stepping over the threshold of faith means it's all about purpose or accidental. I live a purposeful life. I don't let anything slip out of my mouth on accident because I don't subscribe to words that deceive. Like, I sure can't believe. Ain't it weird how you know what, the funniest thing happened today? Or, this cake is as good as hell. All of those words are words that deceive. Can you believe? That's almost too good to be true. Those are words that deceive. They're designed to condition us to not see a blessing, to think that those wonderful things that come, see, I'm doing air quotes, out of nowhere weren't purposeful, that we lucked up on it. You see, because the enemy knows that if you don't see the blessing, then you most likely won't ever be the blessing. And so when you step over the threshold of faith, you have to consciously lift your foot. You're aware that it's there. The people that don't, and that the ones who live an accidental life, they trip over it. They trip over the threshold of faith and they get in there. But and then they wonder why they still, it's even more scary in there because you didn't step over into whatever it is with faith, because it's like this. There's a difference between this. Every legend in this that's ever lived, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Oprah Winfrey, everything they've done. When Mother Teresa got down on her knees in the alleys of Calcutta, for whatever reason, to give a person a drink, a piece of bread, or to wipe pus out of somebody's wounds, she didn't fall down there and go, "Oh, what I'm doing down here? Well, since I'm here, let me help you." No, she got down on purpose. And when you do something on purpose, you come out of it with even more purpose. Right. That's why the only difference between them and us is what we do with the same 24 hours a day we all get. Because they're not tripping. That's when people say, "Quit, you tripping." That's true. You accidentally thinking. Be purposeful.
I love that. That is good. When you do something on purpose,
exactly,
you come out with more purpose.
Thank you.
That's good. That's good. That's some stuff. Okay, so now, this is what people need now. So how do they go from this mindset of being on purpose and being intentional? Because a lot of people think, "Oh, I got a good idea and it's just going to happen. I'm going to get up, do my little, mantra, whatever, and it's going to work out." So what are some things that people need to do to be purposeful, as opposed to what they're already doing right now?
One of the key things is you said it. What do they need to do? You didn't say what do they want to do. People do what they want to do. Very few do what they need to do. You see what I'm saying? Right. Why do you think on January 1st, when people have a boatload of New Year's resolutions, when they say, "Well, I want a new job, I want a better car, I want a bigger house, and I want to lose 12 pounds," they end up losing the house, wrecking the car, gaining 30 pounds. Why? Because when you say "I want," that's equivalent to a wish list. When you say "I need," it comes in with a built-in plan from the universe, from God, what is greater than you. A need, because when the doctor tells you need to lose 20 pounds or you're gonna die, you know what you got to do. When you have all those children, when your babies cried, did you look at your husband and say, "You go, who's going, me or you? Let's go see what that baby wants"? You didn't. You say, "Uh-oh, let me go see what the baby needs."
Right.
What was wrong, honey? She needed to be fed. Oh, he just needed to be changed. We communicated from the very beginning from a place of need, not a place of want. So when you are working within purpose, the need shows up, because it's not like you want to be of service. You can't help it. You need to be of service. It's not that you want to give it away. You need to give it away. You can't stand it. You're bursting. You cannot, you want everybody to have what you know is true. You want them to experience what you know is right, and you can't contain it. So that's why the song the little kids learn, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No, I'm going to let it shine. Because when you're working within the world of purpose, you cannot, it is impossible to keep it to yourself.
That is some good stuff right there. That's great. I mean, hey, I got a book over here. Just from this interview. But okay, so in conclusion, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and some of the things that you have done because you have the Impactor, you got the symposium. So give us a few of the highlights of what is going on in 2020 and how you are
well, they
making
can
such an
find me. You
impact
can either
and how they
I
can
make it
get a
easy
hold
because
of you.
most of my connectors are the name Loren, Loren Michaels with an S, Harris. So that's throw at Gmail on there, and you can email me, Loren Michaels Harris at Gmail. You can go to my website, LorenMichaelsHarris.com, and leave a message there if you want. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, you name it. All of them. Instagram, and they're all my name. It's all Loren Michaels Harris. Go there. My phone number is all over. You can Google me and you'll find my phone number. So that's what you do. We have the Power of We coming up, even if it's going to be a virtual one later in the year. We're not going to be able to make it to Australia because of what's happened, obviously, but we're still having one here in Chicago. So keep your eyes open for that. And, come to Bathrobe Moments every now and then. Stop in, sit down and have a cup of coffee with us over on the Bathrobe Moments Facebook page. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we just thank you so
Next
much for
week?
your time, and
Sure.
I'm going to be
Yeah,
reaching out to
absolutely.
you
I
about
wouldn't
that
have it any other way. Thank you so
being
much for
on the
having
show.
me,
Yeah.
Lachelle Atkins, Supermom, America's Supermom.
What an amazing interview. I just loved that insight from Lauren. So many nuggets. I hope you guys were taking notes to understand how we can continue to move forward in spite of our adversity that we're faced with. I'm tongue tied. But just great information. Pass this on to people. I mean, just the wisdom and insight is just phenomenal. I mean, I have 2 or 3 pages of notes. It's so funny, but just a wealth of information and just the perspective. I just really enjoyed this interview. If you are interested in being a guest, please email me at info@LachelleAtkins.com. I am on all social media platforms from Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, and I have a YouTube channel. So, again, I want to remind you that if something in this um, episode really resonates with you, pass it on to somebody else. It doesn't cost you anything, it's free to share this wealth of information. And if you really are led to, write a review. This is one of the things that really helps us in terms of moving forward just as individuals. One of the ways that you can begin to implement change in your own life is to teach it to someone else. And if you're not able to teach it, then you can help somebody else implement the practices. And you can do that by writing a review, by publicly writing something down and sharing what insight you gathered from it and how you can hold yourself accountable or how other people can hold you accountable because you have publicly stated what you intend to change about yourself or how you want to incorporate this into your daily living. So I want to thank you guys again for um, listening. And if you are interested in being a guest, please reach out. I would love to hear your insight and perspective. Bye for now.